without the rest of us noticing. On Left-Handers Day, it's encouraged for right-handed people to do activities with their left hand and that they normally take for granted. It's harder than you think.
Medical reasons for why some people are right-handed or left-handed. Okay, so there's some theories actually. There's a lot of controversy surrounding it, but sometimes some of the reasons is genetic. Even though you can have two parents who are right-handed and they have a child who is left-handed, so there's some genetic link, but it hasn't been. There's no hardcore evidence to that effect. And some other reason is speculation is about brain damage during fetal development that can influence that. And sometimes it's just accidents when someone has had a stroke, for instance, and then the right hand has been affected. And so the person is forced to now become left-handed.
In human biology, handedness, which is often defined by one's writing hand, is an individual's preferential use of one hand, known as the dominant hand, due to it being stronger, faster, or better in dexterity. The other hand, comparatively, often the weaker or simply less subjectively preferred, is called the non-dominant hand. Approximately 10% of population are left-handed, which is also referred to as lefty or southpaws. Right-handedness is by far more common. About 90% of the human population are right-hand dominant, while we accept left-handedness more readily than days gone by. Its occurrence hasn't increased.
Yeah, when I discovered I was a lefty, I was in primary 1. So they said I should go and write. When I started using my right hand, they discovered that it wasn't good enough. I wasn't good at it enough. So I had to start using my left because that's where my power is, my strength. So I started writing with my left and I discovered that my left hand is good. So my teachers, peer groups encouraged me to start using my left. And I was excellent with it.
The causes of left-handedness are debated, and none are considered 100% accurate at this point in time. That said, there are theories that genetics, sex, males tend to be left-handed more than females. Biology, environment, and fertile development may make people lefties. It is also said that southpaws can form by modeling after their parents or simply adjusting to using their left hand. Left-handedness does tend to run in families, but noticeably less than other inherited traits like height or intelligence. In fact, identical twins who share the same genes can sometimes have different dominant hands. Simple things that many people take for granted. For example, buttoning a shirt, wearing an oven mitt, ironing, using a computer mouse, eating with a full plate setting, or cutting with scissors can be tricky for left-handed people because most times are made for right-handed use.
Okay, medically speaking, from what I've gathered, there are very few. The only link, the only negativity that I've found out about that has been documented about left-handed people is that they're prone to be schizophrenic as a neuropsychiatric disorder, and then in fact they have, to a lesser degree, if there's a family tree of if someone in the family has had Parkinson's, if that person is left-handed, that person is less likely to have Parkinson's. So it's a positive thing, as in when it comes to Parkinson's, and a negative when it comes to psychiatry. But meanwhile, I should also note that these studies are not large studies. The largest studies that have been done on left-handed people are a group of 150 left-handers and 130 right-handers. So there are very few. So even that study hasn't been really corroborated. But in all, I wouldn't say it's a problem to be left-handed. Most of the problems with left-handed people are societal, in the sense that people are feel that you're disrespectful when you're using your left hand, or fine in sports. For example, in golf, I know that left-handed people have their own golf clubs. So some people, if you can't afford to buy the left-handed club, so you may be forced to use the right clubs made for right people. So our society is made for right-handed people. So that's where I think they suffer, you know. So I wouldn't see it as a problem. It's probably just a challenge.
Meet the family of Lawal, whose mother is the principal host of the Left-Handed gene. Zara Lawal has 5 children, with 3 of them dominantly left-handed. Zara's daughter, 21-year-old Aisha Lawal, shares her experiences as a southpaw.
Yeah, I realized that I was a left-hander since when I was 3, when I started going to school. So, and I found it so difficult, when I see my mates using the right hand and I'm using the left hand. So, with time, I started regaining myself so I was be able to use my left hand correctly. I would say it's something that it's genetics because I can say I inherit it from my mom. Yeah, so, but I don't know for others, but mine is I inherit it from my mom because she's a left-hander too.
I think we are 4 in our family that are left-handed. And fortunately for me, and I have a baby that is left-handed already. She's 2 years and she's using her left. Now I am also trying to inculcate that discipline I got of making her eat with right hand but doing other things with left hand. She writes, she does things with her left hand, but if it comes to eating, in fact, you start eating with the left hand subconsciously. Then we'll start correcting her again. Okay, this is what you do. You eat with your right hand. The moment you just tell her, okay, you eat with your right hand, she switch. She understand already. So she's already picking that attitude of eating with her right hand, but doing other things with her left hand.
One of my grandfathers was a left-handed person, so I took that from him. We share the same name, Abdul Mumin. So that was how I got to be a left-handed person. And one of my niece today too, she's just 2 years. We discovered she's a left-handed person.
There have been negative connotations and discriminations on the use of the left hand. Apart from inconvenience, left-handed people have historically been considered unlucky or even malicious for their difference by the right-handed majority.
This is the usual right hand. He has this playing and everything he does. Then those days we play with container, they call it gongoni, then we made car and all those stuff. You just observe that Fortunately, I'm a professional videographer. I would say in my area of skill, my daily skill,
I've been using the two right from childhood, but I'm not a fully left-handed person. There are things I can use my right hand to do that I can't make use of my left hand to do. Like, for instance, I can make up for myself with my left hand, but I can't try that with my right hand. If I do it, that's an error. Likewise, my writing, I write with my right hand. I can't do that with my left hand. I wash with my left hand. I can't cook with my, okay, I cook with both, actually. So I'm not fully a left-handed person.
You just try to force yourself to use your right hand, and it has become an advantage for us. Sometimes we leverage on the right hand to do some things with the left, and sometimes we leverage on the left to do something with the right hand. This is why I said sometimes I can use both hands to write or to do something. I play football, and sometimes it's difficult to know which foot I'm going to use to play. It's very tricky. So people do say sometimes this guy is magical because he can use both foots to play. So it has that advantage. And whenever I'm eating, I eat with my right hand.
Ambidexterity refers to having equal ability in both hands. Those who learn it still tend to favor their originally dominant hand. This is uncommon, with about a 1% prevalence. There are examples of true ambidexterity, which is the equal preference of either hand, but it is rare.
Okay, ambidextrous, those are people who use both left and right hands. So there are different scenarios. So there are those that were born left-handed and maybe their parents forced them to use their right hand. So in that situation, they are likely to be able to use both hands. Maybe they can go, maybe they write with their left, and then when they're attending to people, they use their right hand and things like that. And then, of course, there are people who have had an accident, you know, maybe with their right hand, and they are forced to now start using their left. All right, so it happens. And in fact, most of the studies that I've seen or have gone through show that such people actually don't quite do well. In fact, it looks like when you use one hand, either you're left-handed or right-handed, you tend to do better off. Not saying that the person who uses both hands has a problem, but those that are proficient in just using their left or their right, you know, they seem to do. This appear to be better off than those that use both their left and their right. And maybe it's because that handedness, for example, those that are left-handed have their right, the right side of their lobe well developed, and then those that are right-handed have the left side of their brain well developed, which is the eloquent lobe for language. And you find out that what you use more develops more and develops much more. But if you're using both, you don't give one side of the lobe to predominate and develop much.
To embrace people with left hands. They are beginning to see probably maybe the rate of education has increased from what it used to be.
To enjoy their lives, be who they are, be bold about who they are, and just enjoy their lives and not allow society or anybody